She came home in a casket without her engagement ring. The ring he put on her finger is still somewhere in Tanzania. Nobody has said where it is. Nobody has said where he is. And the police who were supposed to be finding answers have given this family 3 different stories about how their daughter died. 3. Not one official account, not one consistent narrative. 3 versions of events from the same authorities who stood in front of cameras and told the world this case was straightforward. Nothing about this case is straightforward. And tonight, True Crime Institute is going all the way in. If you have been following this case from the beginning, what you are about to hear is going to make you angrier than you already are. And if you are just finding this story, strap in, because by the time this episode is over, you are going to understand exactly why hundreds of thousands of people across the world refuse to accept what the Tanzanian police are asking them to accept. This is True Crime Institute. We stay, we dig, we do not let the world move on. Subscribe, hit that bell, and let's go. Before we get into the new developments, the contradictions, the secret history of Joseph McCann, and the questions the police cannot answer, let us go back to the beginning one more time, because context matters. And every new detail in this case only makes sense if you understand the foundation it is sitting on. Her name was Ashlee Robinson. The world knew her as Ashlee Jenae, 31 years old, born in Philadelphia, based in Miami, over 100,000 followers on Instagram. A lifestyle and travel content creator who built her platform around intentional living, luxury travel, and the idea that Black women deserve to choose themselves without apology. She was not performing joy. The people who knew her in real life, her parents Harry and Yolanda, her sister, her friends, every single one of them says the same thing. She was genuinely, authentically happy. She was building something real. She had only been with Joseph Isaac McCann since November 2024. 5 months. That is how long they had been together before he proposed to her on a Tanzanian safari with a lion walking past in the background. 5 months. Think about that timeline. She posted the proposal video on April 3rd. She was dead on April 9th. She had known this man for less than 6 months. Joseph McCann is 45 years old. He is the founder and CEO of a cryptocurrency investment firm called Asymmetric Financial. He presents himself as a Wall Street veteran with more than 25 years of experience. His company website lists previous roles at Microsoft, Passport Capital, and a venture-backed startup called NodeSource that exited in 2019. Fortune magazine, which investigated him after Ashlee's death, found that he had begun bringing her to crypto industry events almost immediately after they started dating. She started posting photos of him on her social media. Their relationship from the outside looked like a woman who had met exactly the kind of partner her platform was built around, someone who matched the life she was documenting. And then she went to Zanzibar, and she never came home. Now, let's talk about what the police have actually said, because this is where this episode gets complicated in a way that is deeply disturbing. The first thing Tanzanian authorities told the public about how Ashlee died was that she had taken her own life. This was stated publicly by the North Unguja Regional Police Commander, Benedict Mapugira, at a press conference held after her death. The official ruling, self-inflicted, a domestic dispute, a misunderstanding. Those were the words used. He said McCann could not be detained. He said there was no basis for criminal charges. That was the first version. But before that press conference, before any official position was announced, Ashlee's family received a different explanation entirely. When McCann finally called Yolanda Andres, 11 hours after whatever happened to Ashlee in that room, he told her that Ashlee had done something to herself. She was in the hospital. Do not worry about it. And then in the chaotic hours surrounding that call, the family was given a completely different explanation for what had happened to their daughter. They were told she had suffered from alcohol poisoning. Alcohol poisoning. Not the official ruling. Not what the medical record would later describe. Alcohol poisoning. And then that explanation disappeared. It was never officially confirmed. It was never officially withdrawn. It was simply replaced by the official ruling, with no explanation offered for why the family was told something different in the first place. No press conference, no correction, no statement from any official acknowledging that the family was initially given a cause of death that turned out not to be the cause of death. That is not a minor discrepancy. That is not a clerical error. That is the family of a dead woman being told one thing about how she died, and then being told something completely different, with zero accountability for the contradiction. Now let's go to the medical records, because this is where the story gets truly impossible to explain away. A local Tanzanian outlet obtained records from the second hospital Ashlee was transferred to. Those records list her immediate cause of death as oxygen deprivation by compression. Read that again. Oxygen deprivation by compression. The official police ruling describes what they called a self-inflicted incident, and technically certain methods of self-harm can result in oxygen deprivation. So technically those two descriptions could be reconciled if everything else about the official account made sense. But here's the detail that makes it impossible to reconcile. The hospital report, the same document that lists oxygen deprivation by compression as the cause, also notes an unidentified mark around her neck. An unidentified mark. Not a mark consistent with the official account. Not a mark that aligns with what police described. An unidentified mark. A mark so distinct from what would be expected that the medical professionals who examined her body could not identify what made it. The police know about this report. The police have access to this report. And not one official spokesperson has addressed that language publicly. Not one press conference has acknowledged the contradiction between the unidentified mark and the official ruling. Not one statement from Tanzanian authorities has explained how a mark so atypical that it was classified as unidentified is consistent with the account they are presenting to the public. And if that were the only inconsistency in the police narrative, it might be possible to give the investigation the benefit of the doubt. But it is not the only inconsistency. Let's talk about McCann's account of how Ashlee was found. According to statements referenced in Tanzanian police reporting and covered by multiple U.S. news outlets, McCann told authorities that he returned to the room and found Ashlee unresponsive on the door. That is his version. He returned, he found her, he reported it. But that is not what Harry Robinson, Ashlee's father, says happened. In his public statements, Harry Robinson described the discovery differently. He said that at some point McCann returned to the room, accompanied by resort security staff. And that is how she was found. Not McCann alone discovering his fiancée and then alerting staff. McCann and security staff together. Those are two different accounts of the same discovery. Either McCann found her alone and then called for help, or he returned to the room with security already present. The sequence matters enormously. If McCann went back to the room with hotel security, the question is why security was involved before she was found. What prompted that return? Who made the decision to go back? Was the hotel already concerned enough about something to send security with him? Nobody has answered those questions. Nobody in an official capacity has acknowledged that the two accounts of her discovery are different. The police have not issued a clarifying statement. The hotel has not issued a clarifying statement, and McCann has said nothing publicly at all. Now let's talk about the timeline of police statements, because this is the part that the title of this episode is built on, and I am going to be very precise about what was said, when and why it matters. In the initial days following Ashlee's death, Tanzanian police made statements to local media suggesting that McCann was not suspected of wrongdoing. The BBC, one of the most credible international news organizations in the world, reported that local police did not suspect him of wrongdoing. That is a direct report from a credible source citing official police statements. Statement 2. Within days of that reporting, Tanzanian authorities held a second press conference at which they confirmed that McCann's passport had been seized and that he was being questioned by investigators. Statement 3. The Deputy Commissioner of Police in Zanzibar, Zuberi Chembera, who also serves as the Deputy Director of Criminal Investigation, confirmed on April 14th that a thorough investigation to determine the actual cause of death is underway. He described McCann as a witness, not a suspect. Statement 4. TMZ, citing their own sourcing, reported that McCann was being interrogated by police, using language significantly stronger than the word questioned. Now hold those four statements side by side. Statement 1 says he is not suspected of wrongdoing. Statement 2 says his passport was seized and he is being questioned. Statement 3 calls him a witness. Statement 4 says he is being interrogated. Those four statements were made within a short window of time, by or about the same authorities, regarding the same person. They do not all say the same thing. Not suspected of wrongdoing is not the same as being interrogated. A witness is not the same as someone whose passport has been seized pending autopsy results in an active investigation. These statements are not consistent with each other, and the inconsistency has never been addressed publicly. The family of Ashlee Robinson has noticed, the internet has noticed, and this is why the title of this episode says what it says. When official authorities contradict themselves this many times in this short a window, there are two possible explanations. The first is that the investigation is genuinely evolving as new information emerges, and the public statements are imprecise reflections of an ongoing process. The second is that something is being managed, that the statements being made publicly do not fully reflect what is being discussed privately, that the official narrative being offered to the world is designed to close a story that the people making it do not want to remain open. True Crime Institute is not accusing Tanzanian authorities of corruption. We are not making that allegation. What we are saying is that the statements made publicly about this case are inconsistent, unreconciled, and have never been explained, and that a family in New Jersey deserves better than 3 different accounts of how their daughter died. Now let's go deeper into who Joseph McCann actually is, because the more you look, the more questions accumulate. Fortune magazine published an investigation into McCann following Ashlee's death. What they found is worth going through carefully. McCann was previously married to a woman named Shay Jackson. They married in 2018 at a venue called the Greenhouse at Driftwood in Texas. The marriage lasted approximately 3 years before ending in divorce in 2021. Shay Jackson is a brand marketing professional with over 15 years of experience. She has held senior roles at Google, Facebook, and currently serves as the global brand marketing director at Nike Skims. By all public accounts, she is accomplished, private, and has said nothing publicly about McCann or about Ashlee's death. But here's what Fortune found that is relevant to understanding McCann's financial and personal situation. During the divorce, sources who took venture investments from Asymmetric Financial's venture fund told Fortune that some of McCann's stake in the company had been transferred to Shay Jackson as part of the settlement. That means that the cryptocurrency investment firm McCann presents publicly as his primary professional identity had ownership transferred to his ex-wife. How much, under what terms, what that means for the current structure of the business, none of that has been publicly detailed, but it matters. It matters because it tells us that McCann's financial situation is more complicated than his polished public profile suggests. It matters because the man presenting himself as a Wall Street veteran with a successful crypto firm is also a man whose ownership stake in that firm was partially redistributed to an ex-wife after a divorce that ended 3 years before he started dating Ashlee. And then there is a 2024 social media post that the internet found and has been discussing. In 2024, McCann posted on social media referencing having a wife and 2 very young children in 2024, after his divorce from Shay Jackson in 2021, after they had separated. The post described a current domestic situation with a wife and children. If McCann divorced Shay Jackson in 2021 and began dating Ashlee in November 2024, who was he referencing in that 2024 post? That question has not been answered publicly. No one has confirmed the full picture of McCann's personal and family situation at the time he met Ashlee Robinson. But the 2024 post exists. The internet found it, and it has become part of the public conversation about who this man was when he asked Ashlee to marry him. True Crime Institute does not deal in speculation presented as fact. What is documented is documented. What is unverified is unverified. The 2024 post is real. Its meaning and context are not confirmed. We report both. And then there is something else the internet found. Something that the family and Ashlee's close friends have not publicly commented on, but that has been circulating widely. Before the trip to Zanzibar, a fan allegedly raised serious concerns about her safety in relation to Joseph McCann. The specifics of what was communicated, through what platform, and in what form have not been publicly confirmed by any official source or by the family. What has been reported is that prior to the trip, concerns about McCann were raised in Ashlee's direction. The family has not addressed this publicly. The police have not addressed it. And because it is unverified, True Crime Institute will not present it as established fact. What we will say is this: if those communications exist, if there is any documented record of someone raising concerns about Ashlee Robinson's safety in relation to Joseph McCann before she boarded that plane to Tanzania, that is evidence that needs to be in front of investigators, not on social media, in an official file, And if it is not already there, someone needs to make sure it gets there. Now let's talk about the social media behavior in the days following Ashlee's death, because this is a detail that is documented, verifiable, and deeply strange. According to publicly reported observations, Joseph McCann was active on X, formerly Twitter, until April 8, 2026. That is the day Ashlee was found unresponsive in room 25 of the Zuri Zanzibar. And then his activity stopped. Completely. He made his social media profiles private. He changed his profile picture. He has not posted publicly since. People go quiet on social media for many reasons. Grief, shock, legal advice, privacy concerns, any of those could explain it. But combined with everything else in this case, the 11-hour silence before calling Ashlee's mother, the failure to contact the family after that one call, the refusal to speak to the press, the social media lockdown, it creates a picture of a man who is not behaving the way someone with nothing to hide typically behaves in the aftermath of a tragedy. And the internet noticed something else. Around the same time McCann locked down his social media, his ex-wife Shay Jackson also changed her Instagram profile picture. That observation circulated widely online. It has not been confirmed as anything more than a coincidence by any official source. Shay Jackson has not commented publicly on anything related to this case. There is zero confirmed connection between her and the events in Tanzania, but the internet noticed it, and it says something about the level of public scrutiny that every person adjacent to Joseph McCann is now operating under. Let's talk about the engagement ring one more time, because I want to be precise about what this detail means and why it matters beyond the obvious emotional weight. Ashlee Robinson's body was returned to her family in New Jersey on April 25, 2026. Her father, Harry Robinson, confirmed this to TMZ. She was home. That part of the nightmare, the international limbo of waiting for her remains, was over. But none of her personal belongings came with her. Not her clothes, not her phone, not her jewelry. And specifically, not the engagement ring that Joseph McCann placed on her finger on April 3, 2026. The ring that was on her hand in the last photos taken of her alive. The ring that was on her hand when she died. That ring is not in New Jersey with her family. Harry Robinson says the family believes investigators are still holding her belongings as part of the active probe. If investigators are holding that ring, there is a reason. Evidence in an active investigation is held for a reason. Physical items are retained because they may be relevant to establishing what happened. A ring held as evidence in a death investigation is held because it may tell investigators something. What it might tell them, what it is being examined for, whether there is anything on or about that ring that is relevant to how Ashlee died, none of that has been publicly disclosed. But investigators are not holding a dead woman's engagement ring for sentimental reasons. They are holding it because it may matter. And the fact that they are still holding it weeks after her body was returned to the United States tells you something about where this investigation actually is, regardless of what the press conferences have said. Now let's go to the autopsy situation, because this is where the frustration of this family has reached its peak. The Tanzanian autopsy was completed on April 14, 2026. Harry Robinson confirmed this after his trip to Washington, D.C. to press U.S. government officials for help reaching Tanzanian authorities. He learned it from those conversations, not from Tanzanian investigators, not from an official communique sent to the family, from U.S. officials who had made contact on the family's behalf. The autopsy is complete. The results have not been shared with the family. It has been weeks. The autopsy that is supposed to tell this family how their daughter died, the official medical examination that determines whether the official ruling holds or falls, is sitting in a file somewhere in Tanzania, while Ashlee Robinson's parents plan her funeral without knowing the answer to the most fundamental question a parent can ask: what happened to my child? The family did not wait passively. They commissioned their own independent autopsy. That examination has also been conducted. Those results are also pending. 2 separate autopsies, both completed or in process, neither set of results in the hands of the people who need them most. This is not normal. An autopsy completed in mid-April, whose results have not been shared with the victim's next of kin by the end of the month, is not a routine processing delay. It is a family being kept in the dark about their daughter's death, while the official investigation proceeds behind closed doors. Now let's talk about what the surveillance footage situation tells us about the credibility of this investigation. From the very beginning, Harry Robinson has been asking for the surveillance footage from the Zuri Zanzibar resort. His logic is simple and completely reasonable. There are cameras everywhere at a luxury resort. The footage will either confirm or contradict the official timeline. Review it. Share what it shows. Let the evidence speak. That request has been made publicly, repeatedly, and on behalf of a family that has every legal and moral standing to ask for transparency. It has been made to Tanzanian authorities. It has been made through the U.S. Embassy. It has been amplified by the press and by the hundreds of thousands of people following this case online. As of this recording, the family has received no confirmation that they have been granted access to that footage. No public statement from Tanzanian authorities has addressed the surveillance footage directly. No official has said what it shows, whether it has been reviewed, whether it is being analyzed, or whether it has been preserved as evidence. Think about what that silence means. A luxury resort in a major tourist destination on the island of Zanzibar has surveillance cameras throughout its property. That footage covers the night of April 8th and the morning of April 9th. It covers the villas, it covers the pathways between those villas, it covers the period during which McCann was supposedly 10 minutes away in a separate villa, and Ashlee Robinson was found unresponsive in room 25. That footage either shows what the official account says happened, or it does not. And the family of a dead American woman cannot get a straight answer about whether anyone is looking at it. Let's now go to the question of McCann's financial world, because one of the undercovered angles in this case is the question of what Joseph McCann's professional life actually looks like up close, and what Ashlee Robinson may or may not have known about it. McCann founded Asymmetric Financial and presents it publicly as a successful cryptocurrency investment firm. His website bio lists 2.5 decades of Wall Street and Silicon Valley experience. He was bringing Ashlee to crypto events within weeks of them starting to date. She began appearing in the content adjacent to his professional world. He was, by outward presentation, exactly what his professional profile suggested: a successful, experienced, well-connected operator in the financial world. But Fortune magazine's investigation found that the reality is more complicated. The ownership transfer to Shay Jackson during their divorce, the relatively sparse public documentation of Asymmetric Financial's actual performance and client base, the thin paper trail for a man presenting himself as a heavyweight in a highly visible and highly regulated financial space. CBS News Philadelphia attempted to contact McCann, his relatives, and anyone from the investment company he founded. They were unable to reach any of them. Multiple news outlets have attempted to reach McCann for comment. None have been successful. His company's public profile is, by the standards of the financial industry, unusually difficult to verify. True Crime Institute is not alleging fraud. We are not alleging financial misconduct. What we are noting is that the man Ashlee Robinson was engaged to is someone whose professional biography is significantly harder to verify than a man of his stated experience and standing would typically be, and that in the context of a death investigation, the professional and financial background of the person at the center of the investigation is entirely relevant. Now, let's go to the question that is sitting underneath all of this, the one that the family has asked carefully and that the public has asked loudly. Why would Joseph McCann propose to a woman he had known for 5 months and then take her to a luxury resort in a foreign country? True Crime Institute is not implying that this trip was planned with harmful intent. We are not making that allegation. What we are noting is that the context of this relationship, its brevity, the rapid escalation to engagement, the choice of an international destination, where Ashlee would be far from everyone who knew her, the repeated arguments that hotel staff witnessed, all of those details together create a picture that does not align with the romantic narrative that was sold to Ashlee's followers when the proposal video went viral. The family's attorney described the trip as Ashlee's dream vacation, and it may well have been. But it was also a trip where a woman who had been in a relationship for 5 months was in a foreign country, dependent on her partner for logistics and support, with no family nearby, arguing with him repeatedly, being separated by hotel staff, and then dying. And now, he is silent, and his passport is still with investigators, and the ring is still at Tanzania, and the surveillance footage has not been addressed. And the family has 3 different accounts of how their daughter died, and none of them fully align. Let's put every documented fact on the table right now. Not speculation. Documented facts. 1. Ashlee Robinson and Joseph McCann had been in a relationship since approximately November 2024, approximately 5 months before she died. 2. McCann proposed on April 3, 2026. Ashlee died on April 9, 2026. 6 days. 3. The couple were observed arguing frequently throughout their stay at the Zuri Zanzibar by both guests and staff. On the night of April 8, hotel staff separated the couple after an escalating dispute. McCann was moved to a separate villa approximately 8 to 10 minutes away. 5. Called her mother that same night, reported the argument, and sounded upset. Ashlee requested a phone charger from hotel staff. The attendant brought it to her room. She was alive. She told the attendant to return in 15 minutes. 7. The attendant returned. The room was dark, the door was locked. Staff used an emergency key. 8. Ashlee was found unresponsive inside the wardrobe of room 25, with a restraint around her neck. 9. She was still breathing when found. She was transported to a local hospital, then transferred to a second hospital. 10. She passed away on April 9, 2026. 11. The immediate cause of death listed in records from the second hospital is oxygen deprivation by compression. The same document notes an unidentified mark around her neck. 12. The family was first told she had suffered alcohol poisoning. That explanation was then replaced by the official ruling. 13. McCann called Ashlee's mother 11 hours after she was found. He told them not to worry. 14. She was gone. 15. McCann contacted the family once more to inform them of her passing. He has not contacted them since. 16. Tanzanian authorities publicly stated McCann was not suspected of wrongdoing. They then seized his passport. They then described themselves as conducting a thorough investigation. They then called him a witness. They then were reported to be interrogating him. 17. The official autopsy was completed April 14th. Results have not been shared with the family. 18. An independent U.S. autopsy has been commissioned. Results pending. 19. The engagement ring has not been returned to the family with her remains. 20. The surveillance footage from the resort has not been publicly addressed by investigators. 21. McCann has made his social media private and has made no public statement. 22. McCann was previously married to Shay Jackson. During their divorce, ownership stake in his company was transferred to her. 23. A 2024 social media post by McCann referenced having a wife and 2 young children after his 2021 divorce. 24. Ashlee's body was returned to New Jersey without any of her personal belongings. 25. Her funeral is being planned by a family that still does not have official autopsy results. Every single one of those 25 facts is documented. Every single one of them is part of the public record. And together, they do not paint the picture that the official narrative has been trying to paint. Now here is what Joseph McCann has said publicly. Nothing. Here is what Tanzanian authorities have explained about the contradictions in their statements. Nothing. Here is what has been done about the inconsistency between the unidentified mark and the official ruling. Nothing. Here is the status of the surveillance footage review. Unknown. Here is why the family received 3 different explanations for their daughter's cause of death. Unknown. Here is where the engagement ring is. Unknown. Here is what the independent autopsy found. Pending. Here's what the official Tanzanian autopsy found, pending, and here's what Ashlee Robinson's family knows about how their daughter died, more than 3 weeks after she was found unresponsive in a foreign country. Not enough. Not nearly enough. There is a pattern in cases that involve the passing of an American citizen on foreign soil. The pattern is familiar to anyone who has followed Shanquella Robinson's case, another Black American woman who died under suspicious circumstances abroad. The local authorities issue an initial ruling. The family disputes it. International pressure builds. The U.S. government monitors, but does not formally intervene. The family commissions independent forensic work. The results of competing investigations create a contested record that takes months or years to resolve, if it resolves at all. Ashlee Robinson's family knows this pattern. They have referenced Shanquella Robinson publicly. They have watched how those cases unfold, and they are doing everything in their power to make sure Ashlee's case does not get absorbed into that pattern of unresolved grief and unanswered questions. Harry Robinson went to Washington, D.C. personally. He pressed the U.S. Embassy. He gave interviews to every outlet that would have him. He spoke to CBS, ABC, NBC, TMZ, WKVI. He did not grieve privately and trust the system. He understood, clearly and immediately, that the system would not produce answers unless he forced it to. Yolanda Andres has been equally consistent. She said in one of her most devastating public moments, she was loved. She was not just going to be discarded and forgotten about. Those words are not the words of a mother who has accepted a ruling. They are the words of a mother who knows something is wrong and is refusing to let the world decide it is comfortable with not knowing the truth. The GoFundMe has raised over $63,000, surpassing its original goal of $50,000. That money is going toward funeral costs and toward the family's ability to travel to Tanzania and be physically present in the country where their daughter died. That is how determined this family is. They are not waiting for answers to arrive. They are going to the place where the answers are being kept and demanding them in person. Here is where this case stands as of today. McCann remains in Tanzania with his passport held by investigators. As of the most recent publicly available information, no formal arrest has been made, no charges have been filed, and the investigation is described as active and ongoing. The Tanzanian autopsy is complete. Results have not been shared. The independent autopsy is in process. Results are pending. The surveillance footage has not been publicly addressed. The engagement ring has not been returned. McCann has not spoken. The police have not reconciled their contradictory statements. The unidentified mark has not been explained. The 3 different accounts that the family received have not been reconciled. And Ashlee Robinson is being buried in New Jersey by parents who still do not know the full truth of what happened to their daughter on the night of April 8, 2026, in room 25 of the Zuri Zanzibar, in a country 8,000 miles from home. This case is not closed, not by any measure, not legally, not forensically, not morally. And True Crime Institute is not going anywhere. We will be here when the autopsy results drop. We will be here for every statement from Tanzanian authorities. We will be here if McCann ever speaks publicly. We will be here when the surveillance footage, if it is ever released, tells us what actually happened on that night. We will be here for every court filing, every press conference, every development, no matter how small. Because Ashlee Robinson was 31 years old. She built a platform on the idea that women should choose themselves, that they deserve rest and luxury and love without having to sacrifice who they are to get it. She showed people what that looked like in practice, and then she went on a birthday trip with a man she had known for 5 months to a country 8,000 miles from her family, and she never came home. She deserved better than a case that has been mismanaged from the first press conference. She deserved better than 3 inconsistent explanations for her passing. She deserved better than a ruling issued before an autopsy was complete. She deserved better than silence from the man who proposed to her, and silence from the government that is supposed to be investigating what happened to her. She deserved the truth. Her family deserves the truth, and the truth has not arrived yet. But it will. Because this family is not stopping, and this channel is not stopping, and the hundreds of thousands of people who have watched these episodes and shared them and kept Ashlee's name alive are not stopping. If this episode moved you, share it, not for the algorithm. Because every view is a person who now knows Ashlee Robinson's name, and knows that the case is not closed, and knows that the official narrative has holes in it that have never been filled. And the more people who know that, the harder it becomes for anyone to quietly close a file on a woman who deserved justice. Subscribe to True Crime Institute. Turn on your notifications, because when those autopsy results finally drop, and when this case breaks open the way it deserves to break open, you need to be here. And if you are in a relationship where something feels wrong, please trust that feeling. Please reach out to someone in your physical life who can actually reach you. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is 1-800-799-7233. Free, confidential, available right now. I'm your host. This is the True Crime Institute.